Okay. And let's talk about when this starts to become a problem, because, it's one of those things where I can almost imagine, kind of like I was just drawing with my hands, and I actually like drew a little chart on my page too, right? If it's really elevated in the morning, maybe then slight elevation throughout the day, and then starts to come down in the afternoon, and like maybe ideally it resets when you sleep back to baseline of the previous day. But let's say, just for sake of numbers, and these are not the numbers that come up on a medical term, but just for ease of digestion of the listener, is like if it's at 0 and then it's supposed to finish at 0, but at the end of the day, when you wake up the next day, it's at 10, and the next day it's 20, and next day it's 30. It's like, then it starts to slowly but surely go up. At what point does it start to really become a problem to our health and storing body fat and energy levels and stuff like that?
That's a really good question. And there's not a cutoff. This is not like a cliff where you can get closer and closer and closer, but then once you fall off, you're in
Right.
trouble. Cortisol is really more like a slow burn. So I always like to remind myself and my clients, our bodies are working for us. They're trying to be healthy. Our body's trying to get us back to balance and stability. So if we catch it early enough, if someone listening is like, oh man, I have been stressed. Yeah, I have had that insomnia. I have been having difficulty losing body fat. I have that brain fog. But really, it's only been a month or two of that. Well, if they just focus on some real self-care, whether for them that means meditation or being with friends, or maybe cutting back on the high intensity exercise for a short period of time, or laying off the alcohol or caffeine or whatever it is for them, then their body's going to recover very quickly. The deeper we dig ourselves into the hole, though, the longer it takes to recover. So if people ignore it over and over and over and over, the problems just keep getting more severe. In terms of your question, when is it really a problem? I mean, when people literally need medical attention is when they physically can't get out of bed, or they're falling asleep uncontrollably in the middle of the day, something like that. But most people listening haven't gotten to that point. They're experiencing more of those low grade symptoms, which are still problematic and a pain.
Right. No doubt. No doubt. I want to go back. I want to go through a few of the topics that you've hit thus far and dive a little bit deeper into them. The first one that a lot of people have heard of and want to avoid is the fact that cortisol causes you to store body fat. From a metabolism perspective, are you just literally, your body is kind of like, because it's on stress mode, feels like it needs to hold on, and so it's actually like more efficient at burning calories? Efficient meaning it's not burning as many. Is that like slowing down your basal metabolic rate? Is it going to decrease the number of calories that you burn when you're going on a walk? Is it going to decrease the number of calories that you're burning when you're exercising? Talk to us about how cortisol causes us to store body fat.
Yeah, you hit several nails on the head. I can think of three main mechanisms. One is cortisol works hand in hand with insulin. So it makes us less insulin sensitive, which means the sugar, any carbohydrates that we eat, are floating around in our bloodstream more and not getting into our cells for energy. Second is that when people have the cortisol or adrenal dysregulation over a long period of time, you're right, the basal metabolic rate slows. Now, I don't want people to think, oh, shoot, I had a stressful day yesterday, I'm in trouble. It's really not like that. But over a long period of time, we have bradycardia, which is slow heart rate. Our whole body is like slowing down, trying to preserve us because it feels like it's in trouble. And then the third nail that you hit is when people think of stress, it's helpful to think, okay, evolutionarily, what would this have done? Well, if I'm stressed because I have to run from a lion, or I have to migrate across the country because a competing tribe's coming my way, or whatever, it's not the time to be burning fat very efficiently. So
Mm.
my body is slowing down to conserve that because it knows I'm in trouble.
Gotcha. That's awesome. That's awesome. That's very well. That in and of itself is not awesome, but that was great. That was very informative and insightful.